Okie dokie. I'm going to talk to you about this for about 15 minutes or so, just because it's something that has been the topic of much debate on my blog and on radio and with people generally in Dubai, and it's an area that sparked a huge amount of debate. And it's something I'm very close to, and it's something that I think a lot of people aren't taking enough attention of, both in their businesses and the way that they're approaching the internet. This is about 2 seconds worth of who I am. If we just clicks the word. I'm going to take you through 2,000 years of human history, about 1,000 years of human history in around about 2 minutes. This guy is a monk, he's sitting in a scriptorium. He is part of the movement of knowledge across Europe during the Dark Ages. The Dark Ages were when basically our major civilizations goofed things up so badly that we were left with virtually no flow of information whatsoever. What little information there was in the world was held by the Arab world. And that's why in English today we have words like mantissa, alcohol, zenith, azimuth, astrolabe, and before you start getting too complacent, assassin. These, did I say click? Sorry. These concepts made their way through Europe at an amazingly slow pace. You see, what happened was the monks in the scriptoria copied the books that they liked and took to other monasteries. So it would take months and even years for a single piece of human knowledge to travel across Europe, often translated from the original Latin, Greek or Arabic, the original Greek or Arabic into Latin, and then produced, click, into these beautiful pieces of work. This is from the Book of Kells, an illuminated manuscript. And this was the content of all human knowledge. Apart from verbal knowledge, poems like Beowulf and Sir Gawain, and the great revealed books like the Quran and the Bible that people have memorized in their entirety, this was what human knowledge represented. This incredibly slow movement of books that the Catholic Church stopped you reading because it was bad for you to have too much knowledge. It was evil to know the bad things in life. Click. Then along comes this bloke, Caxton, and he invents the printing press. And if I was in the Catholic Church at the time, I would have gone, uh-oh, and that's exactly what they did, because it was an enormous problem for the church. What this guy did instantaneously was ensure that knowledge could be put into people's hands with remarkable speed. Click again. This is Caxton's manuscript, this first Caxton printing press result. Anybody got any idea of how this compares to that beautiful page from the Book of Kells? Isn't it a bit grotty to you? A bit sort of not quite as good as the Book of Kells? I've got news for you. Click. This is the biggie. This is what I've come here to Beirut tonight to tell you. Caxton's book revolutionised European history. It put knowledge into the hands of people. It resulted in the creation of playbills, of books, of posters, of newspapers. It resulted in the creation of enormously important ways of information moving for us. Click ahead. Now, one of the other things we talk about when we talk about quality is the quality of something, the inherent quality of something. Think of the quality of a letter, the joy of writing a letter with a quill, feeling that parchment under your hands as you know that letter's going to be delivered. Click away. And what used to happen was we wrote letters, and those letters got sent on the posts. The Royal Mail, for instance, the stagecoach used to trot all the way around England. It would take days and days and days to deliver these. And then we got around to stuff like inventing aeroplanes and boats, and so letters could travel over those as well. Have another click. And then some bright spark and another guy called Samuel Morse came up with the idea of clicking on and off. Click, 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 to send codes around the world. Click. That was a proper click, click. And then what we got was the world's first use of Twitter. This is a telegram. It was incredibly important and expensive to send, but basically I could send a telegram right way across the world instantaneously and let you know that I had a baby boy, or my wife at least had a baby boy, that I graduated. So the news travels fast. Guess what the next slide is? Okay. No point guessing now, is there? Come on, over we go. Here we go. That quality of holding that paper, the quality of having that quill, the quality of watching that ink distributed on the page has gone. The telegram meant the news got there fast. Forget the stagecoaches, forget all that. Let's move on. Here's another one for you, the newspaper. That great invention as a result of the Caxton Press and of the British Empire, in fact, because as the Empire did trade across the world, there was a need for information about shipments and markets to be gathered together. And in London's coffee house, houses, they had the idea of printing this on sheets using the caption press. And so we have the newspaper. Have a click. The newspaper technology has evolved quite interestingly. Anybody got any idea what this is? It's a hot metal typesetting machine. Basically what would happen was that people would use these with blocks of type, which would then reverse to print the newspaper. That's why we have the expression mind your P's and Q's, because P's and Q's look different in reverse. Have another click. This is type being put into a block. That was how newspaper pages and books and magazines, playbills and posters were made. This machine meant that a compositor could type them. Now, compositing was an incredibly skillful job. They literally used to hand justify text by putting little pieces of metal into it, but typing at incredible speed. Have a click. And what you'd have for a newspaper is whole rooms of compositors working on these, actually quite dirty machines. I used to know a compositor that worked in Fleet Street. He was the father of a friend of mine at school, and he got made redundant because of this. Have a click. Chicky here is also a compositor. She's a phototypesetter. She's using the linotype machine. You can see she's smiling, she's typing away, and what we did is we de-skilled typesetting. Okay? Because Chicky here is just a typist, and she just types away. One of the interesting things about this presentation, by the way, you'll see most of these dumb rolls like this are Chickies. Have another click. She used to type away, and she produced rolls of galley, and we put those into a wax coating machine, and we'd stick them down on paper, and then we'd photograph them, and that's what we made printed press magazines and newspapers out of. It seems remarkably basic today, but that's the way that it was. Now, at the time this was going on, I was running magazines, and I had a typesetter that worked for me, like Phil Cummings. And Phil was very, very sniffy about desktop publishing. Oh, he said, there's no way this desktop publishing will take off. You know, there's no way. You don't know anything about typography. You don't know whether to justify range right, range left. You people are just amateurs. Have a click. Phil, I said, get rid of the linotypes and install DTP fast. Otherwise, I won't run my workouts to you. I'll go to David Cleves, who I don't like. Phil didn't listen to me, and a year later, he was bust. Guess why?